Good day. In our previous example, we were looking at creating a report manager with Excel, where, for example, we are using Microsoft Excel to generate reports. So what we've done is to develop a class where, for example, you feed it the sheet name, the template, the report name that needs to come out, the data that needs to be generated, excuse me, and then for each of the columns on the report, where, excuse me, where is it taking the contents to write from the list of JSON records. So we had created a template, put a picture on the template, and it wrote the information that we wanted based on the list that we gave it. And then this video was explaining that particular process. Now, the next step of this exercise is creating the template itself, because when we were creating this particular template for this example, we created it in Excel, fed it all of this information and all sorts of other things. But due to the repetitive nature of this particular task, it's very important rather to say, let's rather be able to create our templates automatically from the low-code generator tool, so that when we want to generate a report, we can always chop and change whatever template that we want without having to manually update this particular template. Of course, when you create a template, you can create it according to your heart's desire and put all bells and whistles into it and then just configure it. For example, to write this information on D3 here, we ran this particular script here to say you set that information there. So in our low code tool, let's go to it. I've just updated it to version 1.10 now. If you go to it, as you will recall, we have two projects that are there. One being the address book and the other one being the inventory project. Now let's go and open up the tables in there, because we were following a database first approach when we were creating this. So we have our products, the primary key and display value, and then we also have our fields. Let's open our fields. So in the products table, these are the fields that are there, and then we have specified the kind of column types that we will use for them, and then the fake data that we will generate, So if we go to preview now in relation to the information of this particular table, the table has created fake data for us, and we can see that this is how the structure of the application will look like when we have a product table. And then when you do an add, it can add information like this. We're using fake data, remember? So that's it. Now, what we want to do is to make sure that this information that is in this Excel, in this table, can be exported to Excel. So what we do is we've added functionality on this tool to actually create a template that we can later use based on the column types. Yeah. Remember, when you go to preview, our table has these particular columns. The assumption is that all of these columns that are appearing in this particular table are the ones that we need to be reporting on. So what we're going to do is generate a template that is going to have exactly these particular columns that are here up until updated at. So this is just a basic example without any formatting. So what we're going to do is we go through to this particular button here, generate Excel report template. If we click on it, it's going to generate for us the column Excel columns for each of the columns. For example, the name column should be on column A on Excel. The SKU should be on column B. The description should be on column C, etc., etc. And it's excluding any column type where, for example, it is none. Like, for example, here, this is none, so we don't want it to be displayed. So we generate our template, and this template, we can actually import it in our application as a final version of the report template, and then update it to suit our needs. So let's open the template that has been created, and then we see how it looks like. Okay, so here is our template that was created. Let me just enable edit here. Yeah, so edit is enabled. So what we can do then is to basically adjust this particular template to suit our particular needs for it. For example, we might increase the columns. Forgive me for that. We might increase the columns. We must change the background color of that, and all sorts of other things. Now remember, when we were coding the example, what we indicated was that there's a start column, start row, sorry, of the particular information that we want to feed. So the low-code source generator needs to also generate this source code so that we don't have to actually be generating code for this. So if we go to our source code generator and generate the source code for the particular table, there's a new method now that has been added. It's called TBL products export to XLL. So what this does is basically when you click on it, it's going to go through to the table, read everything that is there, sort it by name because we want it to sort it by name. And then it's going to create the Excel report and use the template that we defined. And then the report is going to be products report. And then starting from row 3, and then it writes this information. And then it will generate your particular report that you want to get generated. For example, the export to Excel button on the table looks like this: export report. So for example, in our example, when we're saying export report, what it was exporting is the field definitions for this particular table here. So if you open the file, it will open up an Excel report of our table definition for the product. So as you can see here, so this is the table definitions as recorded here. And this information that is here is based on the template that we defined. Like, for example, we added an image in our template and defined the various fields that we want to be added on the report itself. So when you're creating the source code for the particular application, then you'll be able to have a report generation functionality based on the table that you you have created. So as you can see now, we're trying to eliminate as much as repetitive work as possible. We started with creating a project, creating tables, then creating fields. And then we showed how you want to capture the information based on a user interface that is generated based on what you want, whether it's going to be on a side bar, whether it's going to be at the bottom bar, whether it's going to be on a model. And then the last leg of this then is the report generation. So that at the end of the day, when you want to generate a report in your application, then you can define how it is going to look like in the template and generate the template, and also be able to use the template in your report generation. The only thing that is left out now here is charting, you know. So there is a component, a charting component in SithasoDaisy5. And it's easy to use. It's based on the TUI charts. So basically, one can just put it into their application, create a layout, put the charts in, and then use the application as it is. So it's a free tool. This covers almost most of the things that you're basically going to need when it comes to low-code generation for CRUD applications, where you have data input, we have reporting, and then you can customize your code after that with the functionality that you need, like chatting and all sorts of other things. So this brings us to the closure of the reporting. What we're going to do next is to generate actually this application for the inventory and see it run, and then publish it and test it out with web SQL or IndexedDB. That will be our next video. So for now, ciao.